So, Netivot Shalom. So, we're doing the Parashat Shoftim, right? Shoftim v'Shoftim till 10. So, later in the Parasha, it's talking about the king. V'chatav lo et mishnei Torah. So, Som tasim alecha melech, right? That we're going to have a king. Moshe is repeating what the Bnei Israel were requesting, to have a king, right? A ruler, which actually was not such a great request from Bnei Israel, from us, because we have Hashem. Hashem is our king. And when you have a king, you know, and the king, it's good to be the king, right? As Mel Brooks says, he can do whatever he wants. But now Hashem gives some restrictions, right? So the Torah is mentioning, Rak lo yarbelu susim, he shouldn't have too many horses. Lo yarbelu nashim v'chesed v'zahav, right? And not too much personally. Women, gold, silver, right? And when he's going to be the king on duty, וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת. So he write this Mishnah Torah, right? The deputy of the second of the Torah. What does it mean? And our sage says, Beferush Mishnah Torah. What is Mishnah? Like Mishnah, the word Mishnah, it's a little bit tricky word. It can be the Mishnah, right? Braitot, Mishnayot. It can be secondary. It can be repeating. Meshinantam, right? Meshuneh, etc. But the Chazal said, Shte Sifrei Torot, 2 Torah books. One, אחת שמונחת לו בבית גנזיו, ואחת שיוצאה ונכנסת עמו. One that is actually all the time is at the king's palace, where his treasure is safe and hidden. And one Torah that goes in and out with him. So he said, okay, what's going on here? So he said, because we know the Torah is infinite, right? Val derech ha'avoda, again, this is that we learn in Chassidut. So we can say that this parsha of the king, it's also applicable and relevant al-man malchi rabbanan, right? On our rabbanim. ובתחילה נאמרו בפרשה זו ענייני סור מרע. So first it says about detach yourself from the bad, right? So the king should not have too many horses, too many women, right, etc. It says, and this is what actually express the main strengths of the king, right? The more the king have gold, women, horses, right, he's more powerful king. But in Tehillim it says, lo begvurat asu sechpatz, right, lo b'shokei shirtzeh, that Hashem doesn't want the strengths of the horses or the strong muscle of a man, right? Which means, what is the horses? We can say that it may be cars or yachts, right? Private jet, etc. Hashem doesn't want the king, or actually the person, to rely on the physical thing that he have, on the materialistic things that the person have, but should have a trust in Hashem, right? אלא יפתח רק בשם יתברך. ולא ירבה לו נשים. So what does it mean? Excuse me. He shouldn't have too many women. Not be sinking in the desires, right? Desires. So horses, metaphoric for strength, right? Don't put your trust in your own strength, but on Hashem. Women, לא ירבה לו נשים, do not be into the desires. כסף וזהב לא ירבה למאוד, and money and gold, right? You shouldn't, silver, shouldn't have too much, which means, כמאן דהית, right? להלן לבלתי רום לבבו מאחיו, that he shouldn't be higher than his brother, by the kesef and the zahav yaron avo meche, because when somebody is rich, he's feeling higher than others, right? I'm so rich. People are, bowing to me. I'm so rich. So these are detach yourself from the bad. Don't trust yourself or other people. Trust Hashem. Don't be sinking in the desires, which are the women. And don't be proud, too much gaiva, because you're very rich. And then it says, ואחר כך נאמר, בנוגע לעשה טוב. And now we need to do the do goods, right? והיה כשבתו על כיסא ממלכתו. When the king is sitting on his crown, or throne, right? וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת, and he write this משנה תורה. והייתה עמו, וקרא בו כל ימי חייו למען נלמד ליראה. So he should write this Torah. And by the way, each person is obligated to write a Torah. So the king is writing the Torah, right? Two actually. One is hidden or saved somewhere, and the other one is with him the whole time. He actually carrying it with him the whole time. Why? So he should read all his life in order to learn and to fear Hashem. And what is the mean?
What all his life? He should what all his life?
He should carry the Torah and learn from it all his life, learning.
Oh, learn. Okay.
Yeah, learning, right? וקרא בו כל ימי חייו, and he reading in the Torah all his day of his life. So what is these two ספרי Torah? One that is מונחת בבית גנזיו, one is hidden in his treasure storage, and one is coming in and out with him. So it's a hint to two ways or two paths in Hanhaga, in ruling. When he's between him and himself, right? When we are alone, nobody sees us, and when we are among other people. So the Sefer Torah bebet gnazav, the hidden Torah in his treasure storage, it's hinted as it says in the Ramah, right? It says Berish in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch that when a person is alone in his house, in his home, he should pay attention that the mighty king, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu asher malai kol ha'aretz kvodo, that he feeling the entire creation is standing and watching his action, his deeds. He's watching us, basically. Right? Even even when we are hiding under the bed or under the blanket, what Hashem not going to see him, we cannot hide. So this is the context of the Sefer Torah bebet gnazav, the Sefer Torah that is hidden in his treasure storage, in his treasure box. That when he is alone at home, he should know always that Hashem is standing upon him and he's watching him. So now we have the second book that goes in and out with him. So said this is עניינו כל סדר הליכותיו של תלמיד חכם, how a תלמיד חכם should behave. כדאית בחז"ל, and it says in the Rambam, how we should behave, how should be, among other people, in his eating, drinking, talking, everything. Right? I know, for example, the people not mentioned, but I know a Rav that he doesn't want to sit in a restaurant and eat. He doesn't want other people to see how he eats from tzniut. Right? So he doesn't want to go into a restaurant. And he says, and this is the context again of the Torah book that go in and out with him. So he will behave properly, right? It's obligating. We have a kippah, and people see us. We are a soldier in the army of Hashem, and whatever we do and wherever we behave, that reflect on Hashem. We can do kiddush Hashem or chalila chilul Hashem. Right? This is what we obligated, and that's why the king have this Torah book that goes in and out with him. Furthermore, we can say, Inyan Mishneh Torah, Piman Deita Basfarim HaKadoshim, in a holy book it says that the same way that we have 600,000 letters to the Torah, right? Shishim Ribo Otiot La Torah, for each and every soul, right? Then we have 600,000 Perushim, explanation for the Torah. Each and every soul have a specific, special explanation for the Torah that is teaching him, right? That he's learning, or he has it. This is his life. All of these ways, path, purpose, right? And job in this world. And from that thing, the soul of a person will teach him. Because how the soul will know? Where, right? He's asking him, so how the soul will know where? But the soul is connected to the Torah, right? It's not just a book printed or written somewhere and it's on a piece of paper or parchment and is inside the Aron HaKodesh. It's actually, we are connected. Our souls are connected to the book. So the soul is actually taking the explanation and the purpose from the Torah. And this is, again, related to the Sefer Torah Shemunachat Lo Bebet Gnazav, that is in Bet Gnazav, in his hidden treasure box or storage. And the Bet Genazav is hinted for the Sefer Torah, which is related to the neshama, to the soul. And the specific explanation that is designated for him in the Torah. And the Sefer Torah, Sheyotzet V'Nechneset Imo, and the second book that goes in and out with him, that's like a general one. And this is actually related to the Klal Israel as a nation. Right? And he says, V'aynu Sheman Malchi Rabbanan. So our king always need to have two Torah books. One individually, personally, private one, and each and every Jew have one for that, and the other one is the general one. And he should read the Sefer Torah all his life, as it says in the holy book Tiferet Shlomo, to explain what our sages says in Masechet Brachot. If somebody is, lo alenu chas v'chalila, is suffering, so he should think about his deeds, what he did wrong. So he was thinking about it, and he couldn't find any reason, any good explanation why he's suffering. So he should say, "Oh, Bitul Torah, I didn't learn enough." And the Chachamim are asking a question and said, "But also Bitul Torah, not to learn Torah, is also a sin." So what does it mean that he was looking to see why he's suffering, if he have any type of sin, and he didn't find? So now he said, "Oh, maybe the sin is Bitul Torah." And the Torah and explained that the Holy Torah is teaching us, right, that we should know Shechata, right? It's teaching us that eventually we're acknowledging that we sin. And the Torah is giving us the recognition of the sin, right? As it says in the Zohar Kadosh al Pasuk, O Oda elav chatato, like you should announce his sin to him. Right? Who's going to announce? So the strength, the Torah will announce the Jew, right, that he have sinned. Because without the strength of the Torah, we don't know that we sin, right? So one reason is literally that we have all the rule and restriction and everything is explained in Torah. You're reading the Torah and you know you are on track or you're not on track. But here is talking about something more spiritually. That the more we connected to the Torah, deep inside we know if we're doing it right or if we're doing it wrong. Because without the Torah, we don't know even that we sin. Why? Because the evil inclination, because the evil inclination can convince us that actually we're doing right, while we're actually doing the opposite. And only the strength of the Torah will reveal that actually we sin or not. As it said, right? Light our eyes in your Torah. So the Torah is lighting our eyes of each and every Jew that's learning the Torah. And then when he is sin, again, because even inclination was very strong, he couldn't hold himself, etc., etc. Okay, fine. So he did the sin, he regret, and now the Torah actually, if he's learning Torah, will announce him, right, spiritually, oops, you did something wrong. So now his conscience will not let him go, right? Will not give him a rest. And this is the explanation. So he was trying to look at at what he did wrong. He couldn't find. So he said, oh, if I didn't find why I'm getting this suffering, because I didn't learn enough Torah. If I would learn Torah, I would be able to find what did I do wrong. You see? Because he didn't have the strength of the Torah. And therefore the Torah do not reveal his sins. So that's why I said, for sure I didn't learn enough. And this is the explanation when it says in the Pasuk, V'kara bo kol yomei chayav. He should read the Torah all of the days of his life. Because the Torah that he's teaching, right, or the king or us, is like a mirror in front of us. And showing us all the days of our life, what we did wrong, what we did properly. And this koach, this is the strength that Hashem gave us, so we should not go off track. Right? So the Torah is like announcing us and bringing us to attention what we did. And therefore it's very important, and that's why this parasha with the king have the two Torah books, right? So one book is hidden in his treasure storage. This is the one that when we are alone at home, we should still behave according to the Torah. And the second book that the king have, that he have to read it all his life, is the one that actually giving him the strength and to know if he's on track or he's not on track. And this is the Som Tasim Alech HaMelech, וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת. שכוח and have a great Shabbos.
Good